Hello and welcome back to another video on the Respect and another edition of AEW Collision Out of 10. We're fresh off the Dynasty pay-per-view last weekend, and AEW continue with the Owen Hart Cup tournament this week. And yeah, there's quite a lot of action on the card. But before the matches started, we had Tony Schiavone run down the card for the night, and then FTR came out to speak about why they turned on Cope at Dynasty. Both men gave their reasons for why turning on Cope was the right move. They did what good heels do, which is try to position themselves as the heroes instead of the villains, and it worked. Judging by how the crowd reacted, they invited Schiavone to the ring, and Nigel McGuinness tried to talk him out of getting him into the ring because they thought they would hurt him. FTR was going to hurt him with his bike pile driver until Nigel got up and got into the ring to protect him. Garcia came out and Harwood shoved him before seeing who it was. FTR helped him up, and Garcia didn't reciprocate. FTR left without attacking Garcia, so he went to make sure Schiavone fine. This is an interesting segment because several different dynamics were in play. It might not have been super exciting, but it was certainly entertaining and intriguing for the direction going forward. But our first match of the night, after a quick promo from Tony Storm, was Jamie Hayter making her way to the ring to take on Billy Starks. And yeah, Starks looked a little intimidated at first, but she used a handshake to suck a Hater in for an Irish whip. She tried to hit a suicide dive, but ran right into a forearm smash. It was competitive than their previous encounter, but Hater still controlled the pace more than her young opponent. They fought through a break into the next segment and kept the pace steady. Starks was selling an injured leg after a half-crab submission, but still had some fight in her. The Hater didn't put Starks away, so the former women's champion started to get frustrated. Both women kicked out at some big moves before Hater was able to secure the win. A great performance from both women, and this gets a 7 out of 10 on the whole for me. Good stuff. Toa Leonia and Bishop Khan were then in action this week against two local talents called Smash and Burn, whose fates were sealed before the bell even rang. A squash that lasted little more than 2 minutes and ended with Khan and Leonia getting the win. And after a quick backstage segment, Bowens and Christian fought in a singles match. Billy Gunn was at ringside with the pride of pro wrestling, while Lee Johnson accompanied Christian. A competitive back-and-forth contest, but Bowens definitely had the upper hand more than his opponent. This bout was designed to keep building momentum for him after his win over Max Caster. This is exactly what it did. They battled in the next segment, and this made it far more competitive than Caster v Bowens at Dynasty, but Christian's offense wasn't enough to stop Bowens from hitting several new impressive finishes. Even though this was good, there's a few moments being sloppy, but it didn't slow down the action. I'll give it 6 out of 10. We then had another squash match. Megan Bain was in action in a handicap match against local talents. A dominant performance from the Megasis, stacking both on the top of her. And yeah, kind of the rebounder she needed after losing at the pay-per-view. And yeah, just rebounding her, and that's all this was basically. Next up on Collision, we saw Kevin Knight. He was looking to build more momentum following his 100k win on Dynamite, but AR Fox was not just going to lay down for him. Both of these men are quick and capable on their feet and taking flight at any given moment. So this was a fast-paced match from the moment they made contact. The Jet kept up with his more experienced opponent, but he couldn't put him away with a huge sit-out spine buster. This was entertaining from start to finish, and after a few close calls, it was Knight who picked up the victory. So yeah, I'm going to get 7 out of 10. He continues his impressive start to her life in AEW, and this was good stuff. Following a heated conversation between Dudley Magic and Angelo Parker, they took on FTR in a tag match. Garcia came out to watch from ringside as the two teams he was close with began to fight. As soon as the bell rang, Harwood and Wheeler were in after their opponents and beat them in the ring and out. Dudley Magic was busted open immediately. Garcia pleaded with FTR to go easy on his friends, but they didn't listen. They spiked Magic with a pair of power drivers. Garcia begged them to just pin him instead of hitting his there, which they obliged. The match wasn't much of anything, but the stories they're telling with Garcia is interesting. The FTR ran back to him and attacked Garcia. They hit him with T-spike power drivers before the Pentagon ran to the ring to make the save. Cole O'Reilly and Strong set them running until the damage was done. I'll go with 6 out of 10. A pretty decent match on the whole. And yeah, good win for FTR. It's all about building momentum to them as heels. Another match then took place in the Women's Own Heart tourney with Athena taking on Harley Cameron. Athena tried to big time Harley at first, but the ventriloquist scored a takedown and celebrated of her own, which angered the fallen goddess. This could have been a short match and nobody would have been surprised, but they fought through the break. This made Cameron look more competitive than most of Athena's RH opponents. We then returned to see Cameron fighting out of a bow and arrow submission, but a series of kicks from the RH champion put her on the mat. This was far more competitive than it needed to be, but it's really a bad thing. Athena countered Cameron's finisher and hit her with a powerbomb, and he's striking her finisher for the win. There are a couple of sloppy moments at the end, but the vast majority of it was pretty decent stuff, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. The main event then saw another owner match with Takeshita taking on Brody King in one of the most anticipated matches of the tournament. These are two big powerful competitors, so everyone was expecting a hard-hitting contest. King scored the first real takedown with a brutal chop, but both men were doing a lot of no-selling to appear tough. Hart was animated at ringside as she cheered on King every time he move. He had a few minutes of being in control before Takeshita hit a blue thunderbomb out of nowhere to get to. This is an enjoyable fight between two guys known for being powerhouses. Takeshita showed off his strengths when he threw King around before hitting a huge lariat for a near fall. It did not take a lot to put King away, but Takeshita finally did it with 2 running knees in a row to advance to the next round of the tournament. And yeah, for me, this is probably match of the tournament so far. Great stuff, an excellent match, and for me, probably the right result. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And overall, Collision this week gets a 7 out of 10 from me. I thought, yeah, a really strong episode of Collision, some really strong matches on there, and a lot of stuff I enjoyed throughout the show. So yeah, good stuff, 7 out of 10. And I think, yeah, AEW's heading in an interesting direction, obviously with the Owen Hart tournament, which has been doing great stuff so far, and heading into Double or Nothing in a few weeks. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.